The doors exploded inward, and Captain Ryan Fletcher stumbled through them, boots scraping marble as alien guards shoved him forward. His wrists burned where the energy cuffs bit into skin. Blood dripped from a cut above his eye. The throne room stretched endlessly before him, all crystalline pillars and impossible geometry that hurt to look at directly. Hundreds of beings filled the space. Creatures with too many limbs, faces that shifted like liquid mercury, forms that existed in dimensions his brain couldn't process. Every single one of them knelt. Their heads touched the floor in perfect synchrony. A wave of submission that rolled through the chamber like a living thing. Fletcher stayed upright. The guards yanked harder. His knees buckled, but he locked them, muscles screaming. One guard hissed something in a language that sounded like breaking glass. The other struck him between the shoulder blades with something that sent lightning through his spine. He didn't go down. "Kneel before the eternal sovereign." A voice boomed from everywhere and nowhere. The translator chip in Fletcher's skull rendered it into English that tasted like copper. "Kneel before she who commands the void." Fletcher spat blood onto perfect white stone. "Not happening." The chamber went silent, not quiet, silent as if sound itself had been ripped away. Every kneeling creature froze. The guard stepped back. Even the strange light filtering through impossible windows seemed to pause. Then she moved. The queen rose from her throne, and the universe held its breath. She was tall, taller than any human, her form wrapped in something that might have been armor or skin or starlight compressed into matter. Her face was beautiful in a way that made Fletcher's eyes water, beautiful like a supernova. Beautiful like the void between galaxies. She descended the steps. Each footfall echoed like a planet cracking. The kneeling masses pressed themselves flatter. Some were weeping. Others trembled so violently Fletcher could hear their chitinous plates rattling. The queen stopped 3 feet away. This close, Fletcher could see energy crackling around her like barely contained lightning, could smell ozone and something sweeter, like flowers that only bloomed in vacuum. "You stand," she said. Her voice was quiet now, but it shook the hall anyway. It shook Fletcher's bones. It shook atoms. "You stand before the throne of eternity, before the breaker of species, before the queen of 7 galaxies." Fletcher met her eyes. They were black, completely black. Stars died in those eyes. "Yeah," he said. "I stand." The queen tilted her head. For the first time in 3,000 years of conquest, in 3,000 years of absolute dominion over 1,000,000 worlds, something unexpected had happened. A human refused to kneel. Why? The question cracked like thunder. Fletcher smiled. Blood stained his teeth. "Because I'm human, and we don't bow to anyone." The queen's hand moved toward him. The real test was about to begin. The queen's fingers stopped an inch from Fletcher's face. Energy crackled between them, purple and violent. The air itself seemed to scream. Every being in the throne room pressed harder against the floor, as if trying to merge with stone. "You speak of humanity as if it matters," the queen said. Her voice dropped lower, became something that vibrated in Fletcher's chest cavity. "I have ended species older than your sun. I have watched civilizations burn themselves to ash, begging for my mercy. What makes you different?" Fletcher's jaw clenched. The energy cuffs were cutting circulation to his hands. His vision swam, but he'd been through worse. The defense of Titan. The massacre at Europa Station. Watching his entire crew die when the Sovereign's fleet tore through human space like a hurricane through paper. "We don't beg," he said. The queen's hand closed around his throat. She lifted him effortlessly, his boots dangling above the floor. The grip was gentle. That was somehow worse. She could crush his windpipe with a thought, but chose not to. Chose to let him dangle, chose to let him suffer the humiliation. Fletcher grabbed her wrist with both cuffed hands, squeezed. It was like gripping a star. The heat burned through his palms, but he didn't let go. Put me down. Something flickered across the Queen's face. Surprise? Amusement? Her lips curved into something that might have been a smile on a creature less terrifying. She dropped him. Fletcher hit the marble hard, rolled, came up on one knee. His throat felt crushed. Every breath was razors, but he stood again. Slower this time. Unsteady, but he stood. A sound rippled through the throne room. Whispers, gasps, sounds of shock in 1,000 languages. Several of the kneeling beings raised their heads just slightly, risking forbidden glances. "Your fleet is destroyed," the Queen said, circling him now like a predator. "Your worlds are ash. Your species numbers in the thousands where once you counted billions. You have nothing. You are nothing. And still you defy me. Explain this madness." Fletcher wiped blood from his mouth. His mind raced. He needed to buy time. Needed to keep her talking. Somewhere in this massive structure, if the intel was right, there was a weakness, a way to bring this whole empire crashing down. He just had to survive long enough to find it. "We're humans," he said. "We're all mad. It's kind of our thing." The Queen stopped pacing, turned to face him fully. "I could make you kneel. I could break every bone in your body and rebuild you as a creature that knows only submission. I have done this to others, to beings far stronger than you. Then why haven't you?" Fletcher shot back. Silence. The question hung in the air like a blade. The Queen's black eyes narrowed. "Because I am curious. In 3 millennia, no species has produced a creature like you, so defiant, so foolish. I want to understand what drives such stupidity before I erase it from existence." Fletcher laughed. It hurt. Everything hurt. But he laughed anyway. "You want to know what drives us? Fine. I'll tell you. We're the species that looked at fire and decided to hold it. We're the ones who saw the sky and built machines to break through it. We split the atom. We walked on our moon. We turned Mars green. And when your fleet came, when you crushed everything we built, you know what we did?" He stepped closer. The guards moved forward, but the Queen raised a hand, stopping them. "We kept fighting," Fletcher continued, "not because we thought we'd win, but because that's what humans do. We fight. We endure. We survive. You can kill every last one of us, and somewhere, somehow, humanity will spit in death's space one more time." The Queen stared at him for a long moment. Then she threw her head back and laughed. The sound was terrible, beautiful. It shook the crystalline pillars, made the kneeling masses tremble harder. "Magnificent," she said. "Absolutely magnificent. You are insects, mayflies, and yet you have more spirit than empires that spanned galaxies. I have decided something human." Fletcher tensed. This was it. Death was coming. "You will not die today," the Queen said. "Instead, you will be tested. If you survive, we will speak again. If you fail, your death will at least be entertaining." She clapped her hands once. The sound was a thunderclap. The floor beneath Fletcher's feet vanished. He fell into darkness, and the Queen's laughter followed him down. Fletcher hit water hard enough to crack ribs. The impact drove air from his lungs in an explosion of bubbles. Darkness pressed in from all sides, absolute and suffocating. The energy cuffs sparked once, twice, then died. His wrists came free. He kicked upward. His lungs burned. The water was thick, viscous, wrong. It clung to him like oil. His head broke the surface and he gasped. choking on air that tasted like metal and rot. Dim bioluminescence pulsed from the walls. Fletcher treaded water spinning slowly. He was in a massive chamber, circular, maybe 100 feet across. The walls were organic, pulsing like the inside of a throat. Above him, the hole he'd fallen through had sealed itself. Something moved in the water below. Fletcher's combat training kicked in. He scanned for an exit, a weapon, anything useful. There, a ledge 20 feet away, carved into the wall. He started swimming. His ribs screamed with every stroke. The thick water fought him. The thing below moved faster. Fletcher put everything into it. His arms burned. His damaged ribs felt like they were tearing through muscle. The ledge was 15 feet away. 10, 5. Teeth exploded from the water behind him. He threw himself forward, grabbed the ledge, hauled himself up with strength born from pure adrenaline. Something massive breached where he'd been seconds before, jaws snapping on empty air. Fletcher rolled onto the platform and looked down. The creature was serpentine, 30 feet long, covered in plates that glowed with the same sickly light as the walls. Its head was all teeth and hunger, 6 eyes fixed on Fletcher with intelligence that was somehow worse than animal rage. It circled below, waiting. Fletcher stood on shaking legs. The platform was small, maybe 6 feet square. Across the chamber he could see another platform, then another. They formed a path of sorts, each one separated by 20 feet of open water. At the far end, barely visible, was a doorway. Test, he muttered. Right, because falling into monster water wasn't enough. The creature smashed into the wall below him. The entire platform shuddered. Chunks of organic matter rained down. The thing was smart. It was trying to collapse his perch. Fletcher didn't wait. He ran 3 steps and jumped. The leap was desperate, wild. He barely cleared 15 feet. His hands caught the edge of the next platform, fingers scrabbling for purchase on the slick surface. His legs dangled over water. The creature surged upward, jaws wide. Fletcher pulled himself up as teeth snapped inches from his boots. He didn't pause, couldn't pause. The next jump was worse, the platform smaller. He landed badly, his damaged ribs sending white fire through his chest. Dropped to one knee, forced himself up. The creature had stopped circling. It was watching him, learning. Fletcher eyed the next gap. This one was wider, 25 feet, maybe more. He'd never make it with his injuries. His ribs were definitely broken now. Each breath was agony. He looked around desperately. The wall to his right had formations, organic growths that might hold his weight. The platform beneath him cracked. The creature hit it again from below. No choice. Fletcher jumped sideways, grabbed a formation jutting from the wall. It held. He swung his legs, found another foothold, began climbing horizontally. The growths were slippery, pulsing with that awful light. Below, the creature tracked him, swimming parallel, halfway across. His fingers were slipping. His ribs were grinding together. 3/4, almost there. The creature launched itself out of the water. It came up fast, impossibly fast. Jaws opened wide enough to swallow a man whole. Fletcher saw every tooth, each one serrated and dripping. Saw death coming in slow motion. Fell sideways, tucked, hit the next platform rolling. The creature missed by inches, crashed back into the water with a sound like a bomb going off. Water exploded upward, drenched Fletcher, nearly swept him off the edge. He clung there, gasping, every part of him screaming. 2 more platforms to go. The doorway was so close now. 50 feet, might as well have been 50 miles. Fletcher pushed himself up. His vision was graying at the edges. Blood ran from a dozen cuts. His left arm wasn't working right, but he was still breathing, still moving. still human. The next jump was narrow. He made it easy. The landing sent fresh waves of pain through his chest, but he stayed upright. One platform left. The creature had gone, still in the water, just floating there, watching with those 6 terrible eyes. Fletcher knew what that meant. It was waiting. The final jump was the longest, 30 feet of open water between him and the door. The creature would have him the moment he entered the water, unless he didn't enter the water. Fletcher looked up. The ceiling was low here, covered in the same organic growths. Stalactites of living tissue hung down, some reaching almost to the platforms. Insane. Completely insane. He jumped straight up, caught a stalactite with both hands. His ribs screamed. His grip was weak. The tissue was slippery. He swung his legs up, wrapped them around it, began moving hand over hand toward the doorway. The creature burst from the water. It came up vertical, body twisting, jaws snapping at Fletcher's dangling feet, missed by inches, fell back, surged up again. Fletcher pulled his legs higher, kept moving. His hands were on fire. His arms were going numb. The doorway was right there, 10 feet, 5. The stalactite tore free from the ceiling. Fletcher fell. Fletcher twisted in midair, saw the doorway rushing past, saw the creature's jaws opening below. His hand shot out, fingers catching the doorway's edge. His shoulder wrenched, nearly dislocated. His body slammed into the wall below the opening. The creature's teeth closed on empty air 6 inches from his boots. Fletcher hauled himself up with his one good arm, rolled through the doorway, and collapsed on cold stone. Behind him, the creature thrashed in fury. The doorway was too small. It couldn't follow. He lay there gasping. Every breath was broken glass. His vision kept sliding in and out of focus. But he was alive. Against every odds, somehow he was alive. Not bad for a mayfly. Fletcher's head snapped up. A figure stood in the corridor ahead, silhouetted against blue light. Not the queen. Smaller. The shape moved closer, and Fletcher saw it was humanoid, covered in what looked like chitinous armor. 4 arms. A face that was almost human, but wrong in subtle ways that made Fletcher's skin crawl. The last candidate lasted 12 seconds, the figure said. Its voice was surprisingly pleasant, musical even. You survived 4 minutes. The queen will be pleased. Fletcher pushed himself to his knees. His hand found a piece of the broken stalactite, sharp and solid. Not much of a weapon, but better than nothing. Who are you? I am Counselor Vex. I serve the Eternal Sovereign. The creature's head tilted. I am also the closest thing you have to an ally in this place. Funny, I don't remember asking for friends. Vex laughed. It sounded genuine. Yes, very human. The queen was right about you. Come, if you can walk, there is much to discuss and very little time. Fletcher stood slowly. His ribs grated. His vision swam. Why would you help me? Because you are interesting. Because in 3,000 years of watching the queen conquer and destroy, I have never seen her curious before. She could have killed you instantly. Instead, she tests you. This means something has changed. And change, Captain Fletcher, is something I have waited a very long time to see. How do you know my name? The Queen knows everything about you, your service record, your tactics, the defensive Titan where you held off an entire battle group for 6 days with a single damaged cruiser. She has studied humanity extensively since first contact. She finds you fascinating in the way a scientist finds a new species of predator fascinating. Fletcher limped forward, still gripping his makeshift weapon. Where are we going? To the medical bay, then to your quarters. You have 6 hours to recover before the next test. Vex began walking down the corridor. I suggest you use them wisely. Fletcher followed, keeping distance between them. The corridor was vast, walls covered in strange symbols that seemed to move when he wasn't looking directly at them. What's the next test? Combat. The Queen wants to see you fight. Against what? Vex glanced back. In the blue light, its eyes glowed amber. Against her champion, a creature that has killed representatives from every species in this empire. Some fought with honor. Some begged for mercy. All died. You will be no different unless you understand something crucial. And what's that? The Queen does not want you to kneel because she needs your submission. She has that from countless billions. She wants you to kneel because she needs to understand why you won't. There is a difference, a human difference. If you can show her that difference, if you can make her truly understand it, then perhaps you survive. Perhaps humanity survives. They reached a doorway that irised open. Inside was a medical facility unlike anything Fletcher had seen. Machines hummed with alien purpose. A hovering device scanned him immediately, projecting symbols he couldn't read. The machines will repair your injuries, Vex said. They cannot be refused. Lie down. Fletcher hesitated. Every instinct screamed trap, but his body was failing. He could feel it. Without treatment, he'd be dead before the next test anyway. He lay on the table. Immediately, restraints snapped over his wrists and ankles. Sorry, Vex said, sounding genuinely apologetic. Protocol. The machines work better when subjects don't move. Something sharp pierced Fletcher's neck. Cold flooded his veins. The pain in his ribs began to fade. His vision cleared. He could feel his body knitting back together, bones realigning, tissue regenerating. It was horrible and wonderful simultaneously. Why are you really helping me? Fletcher asked through gritted teeth. Vex moved closer, lowered its voice. Because I am tired, Captain Fletcher. Tired of conquest. Tired of watching worlds burn. Tired of serving a queen who has forgotten what it means to be challenged. You stood before her and refused to bow. Do you understand how unprecedented that is? How dangerous? Dangerous for me, you mean? Dangerous for everyone. The Queen has not been truly challenged in millennia. She has grown complacent, cruel. She destroys because she can, not because she must. But you reminded her what defiance looks like, what spirit looks like. And if you can keep reminding her, if you can keep surviving, maybe something changes. Maybe this empire that spans galaxies finally faces something it cannot simply crush. The machines retracted, the restraints released. Fletcher sat up, testing his body. The pain was gone. His ribs felt solid. Even the cuts had healed. 6 hours, Vex said, moving toward the door. Rest, eat. The quarters have human-compatible food. I took the liberty. And then I fight this champion, and then you fight. And you will lose, Captain Fletcher. The champion has never been defeated. But losing is not the same as failing. Remember that. Vex paused at the doorway. One more thing. The Queen watches everything, every moment, every word. She is watching us now. She heard everything I said. This was not a secret conversation. This was theater. Remember that too. The creature left, the door sealed behind it. Fletcher sat alone in the medical bay, surrounded by alien technology. In the heart of an empire that had destroyed his species. In 6 hours, he would face something designed to kill him. He smiled. You want to understand humans? He said to the empty room, knowing she was listening. Fine, let's teach you what we're really made of. The arena was a coliseum carved from black crystal, vast enough to hold tens of thousands. Every seat was filled. Beings from across the empire watched in silence as Fletcher walked onto the sand. Above, the ceiling opened to stars that weren't stars, constellations from galaxies he'd never seen. The Queen sat on a throne of light at the arena's highest point. Even from 100 yards away, Fletcher could feel her eyes on him. He wore simple combat gear, no armor, no weapons except what Vex had left in his quarters, a blade made from some alloy that hummed when he moved it. The weapon felt alive in his hands, eager. Across the arena, a gate ground open. The champion emerged and the crowd erupted. Not cheers, something else. A sound between worship and terror. The creature was massive, easily 12 feet tall, built like a nightmare given flesh. 6 arms, each ending in blades that looked grown rather than forged. Its body was covered in scars, each one a testament to battles won. Its face had no eyes, just a mouthful of teeth arranged in concentric circles. It had killed for 300 years. Vex's words echoed in Fletcher's mind, never defeated. The champion didn't charge. It stood there, head tilted, as if listening. Then it moved. Fast. Impossibly fast for something so large. It closed half the distance in a heartbeat, blades singing through air. Fletcher dove sideways, rolled, came up swinging. His blade met the champion's with a sound like a bell cracking. The impact threw Fletcher back 10 feet. The crowd's sound changed. Surprise. The human had blocked. The champion pressed forward. 4 of its arms attacked simultaneously, blades coming from angles Fletcher's brain struggled to track. He parried 1, 2, felt the third slice across his shoulder. Hot blood ran down his arm. The 4th blade he caught on his forearm guard, twisted, threw the champion's balance off by an inch. An inch was enough. Fletcher kicked hard into what he hoped was a knee joint. The champion stumbled. Fletcher attacked the opening, his blade finding flesh between armor plates. Black blood sprayed. First blood to the human. The crowd went silent. The champion's mouth opened and released a sound that wasn't quite a roar, wasn't quite a scream. It was a challenge, a promise. It attacked with all 6 arms now. No more testing, no more caution, pure killing intent. Fletcher gave ground. Had to. The champion was stronger, faster, had more reach. Every block sent shock waves up Fletcher's arms. His shoulder wound was bleeding badly. His grip was getting slippery. But Fletcher had fought impossible odds before. Had learned something in humanity's wars that this champion, for all its victories, had never needed to learn. How to lose and keep fighting anyway. He let the champion drive him back toward the arena wall. Let it think it was winning. Watched its pattern. 6 arms meant 6 different attack vectors, but the creature had preferences. It led with the upper right, followed with middle left. The lower arms were defensive, counterattack tools. Fletcher waited for the pattern to repeat. Upper right came in. He didn't block. Let it pass over his ducked head by inches. Middle left followed. He stepped inside its range, too close for the blade to have power. Lower right came up defensively. Fletcher drove his blade through the champion's lower right elbow joint. The arm fell to the sand. Still twitching, the champion screamed. Real pain this time. It backpedaled, reassessing. Black blood poured from the stump. The crowd was roaring now, a sound like reality tearing. 5 arms left, Fletcher said. Loud enough to carry? Loud enough for the Queen to hear. Want to keep going? The champion answered by attacking harder. But now it was angry. Anger made it sloppy. It overextended with its upper left. Fletcher sidestepped, his blade opening a line across the champion's ribs. It compensated, brought 3 arms around in a wild arc. Fletcher dropped flat, let the blades pass overhead, rolled between the champion's legs, came up behind it, drove his blade into the back of its knee. The champion collapsed forward, caught itself with its remaining arms, spun to face Fletcher with terrifying speed. But it was on the ground now. Its height advantage was gone. Fletcher's shoulder was screaming. His arms felt like lead. Blood loss was making him dizzy. But he was smiling, actually smiling. "You've beaten thousands," Fletcher said. "Creatures stronger than me, faster than me, better trained, but you know what none of them had?" The champion lunged. Fletcher sidestepped, barely. His blade traced a line across the creature's face. They all expected to win or die with honor. That's what everyone does here, right? Fight well, die well. Go down in glory. Fletcher circled, keeping distance. But humans? We don't care about glory. We care about surviving, about winning, about doing whatever it takes. The champion charged again. Fletcher didn't dodge this time. He charged too, straight at it. The champion's blades came in for a killing blow. 4 arms, 4 angles. Impossible to block all of them. Fletcher didn't try to block. He dove under them, sliding across sand slick with both their blood. Came up inside the champion's guard, drove his blade up through the underside of its jaw. The champion went rigid. Its remaining arms twitched once, twice. Then it fell backward, Fletcher's blade still buried in its skull. Silence. Complete and absolute silence. Fletcher stood over the body, breathing hard. His vision was tunneling. Blood loss. He was going to pass out soon. But not yet. Not while the Queen was watching. He looked up at her throne, met those impossible black eyes across the distance. "That's what makes us different," he called out. "We don't fight to die with honor. We fight to live, to survive one more day, one more hour, one more second. You can kill us, you can break us, but you can't make us quit, ever." The Queen stood. The movement silenced even the shocked whispers rippling through the crowd. She descended from her throne, walking on air, each step bringing her closer. The stars above seemed to dim in her presence. She landed in the arena, walked across the sand to where Fletcher stood. Up close, she was even more terrifying. Power radiated from her like heat from a furnace. "You killed my champion," she said quietly. "Yeah." Fletcher swayed. His legs were giving out. "I did. 300 years. 300 years he stood undefeated. And you, a broken human with a single blade, brought him down. Just lucky, I guess." The Queen's hand moved to his face. Gentle, almost tender. "No, not luck. Skill, determination. That human spark I have been seeking. Tell me, Captain Ryan Fletcher, if I spare your life, if I spare the remnants of your species, will you kneel then?" Fletcher's legs gave out. He collapsed to his knees, no longer able to stand. Blood pooled around him. His vision was fading, but he looked up at her, met her eyes one more time. "No," he whispered. "Never." The Queen smiled, really smiled. It was beautiful and terrible. "Good," she said. Everything went black. Fletcher woke in a bed softer than clouds. His body felt whole, healed completely. The room around him was vast, decorated with artwork from 1,000 conquered worlds. Through massive windows, he could see ships moving between planets, an empire in motion. The Queen sat in a chair beside his bed. Fletcher didn't jump, didn't panic, just met her eyes and waited. "You have slept for 3 days," she said. "Your injuries were severe. The medical systems worked continuously to save you. Why save me at all?" The Queen stood, moved to the window. Against the backdrop of stars, she looked almost fragile. Almost. "In 3,000 years, I have conquered everything I touched." Species knelt, or died. Empires crumbled, resistance was crushed, and I believed this was strength. This was power. She turned back to him. But you showed me something I had forgotten. True strength is not in forcing others to bow. It is in standing when everything tells you to fall. Your species numbered billions. Now you count in thousands. Your fleet is ash. Your worlds are ruins. By every measure, humanity is defeated, yet you still refuse to kneel. Fletcher sat up slowly. So what now? You kill me? Kill the rest of us? Make an example? No. The Queen moved closer. Now I make you an offer. I have conquered through force for millennia. Perhaps it is time to try something different. Your people will have sanctuary, worlds to rebuild on, resources, protection. In exchange, you will serve as my truth teller. When I grow cruel, you will remind me of this moment. When I forget what defiance looks like, you will show me. You want me to be your conscience? Fletcher laughed. It hurt less than before. That's insane. Yes, very human insane. The Queen's lips curved. You may refuse. You may take your people and go. I will not stop you. But know this, there are threats in this universe beyond even my empire, forces that would destroy humanity without thought. Under my protection, your species survives. Alone, you face extinction within a generation. Fletcher stood, walked to the window. Below, he could see the throne room where he'd first refused to kneel. It felt like a lifetime ago. And if I agree, if humanity accepts this deal, what happens to our independence, our freedom? You govern yourselves. You rebuild as you choose. You remain human. All I ask is honesty when I require it, and that you never, ever kneel. Fletcher turned to face her. Why does it matter so much? The kneeling? The Queen was quiet for a long moment. Because I have forgotten what equals look like. Everyone bows, everyone submits, and in their submission, I have become something less than I was, a tyrant, a destroyer. But when you stood before me, bloodied and broken, and refused to bow, I remembered what it was to be challenged, what it was to face something that would not yield, and I realized I had been alone for far too long. She extended her hand. So I offer you this bargain, not as conqueror to conquered, but as one warrior to another. Help me remember what I have forgotten. In exchange, humanity endures. Fletcher looked at her hand, thought of the thousands of humans left scattered and afraid, thought of the children who would never be born if humanity went extinct, thought of everything they'd lost and everything they could still save. He took her hand. One condition, you learn our history. All of it, the good and the ugly. You understand what made us this way. Agreed. And humanity gets a voice in this empire. Not subjects, partners. The Queen's grip tightened, not threatening. Sealing a pact. Partners. Yes, I think I like that word. Fletcher smiled. Then you've got a deal, but I'm warning you now. We're going to be the most annoying partners you've ever had. I expect nothing less. Across the empire, word spread. The human who refused to kneel had become the Queen's advisor. Some species whispered rebellion. Others spoke of hope. All understood that something fundamental had shifted. In the throne room, the Queen made her announcement. Fletcher stood beside her, not behind, not kneeling, not bowing, just standing. Let it be known, the Queen declared, her voice shaking the hall one final time. Humanity is under my protection. Any who harm them answer to me. And let it also be known that this empire has a new purpose, not conquest for conquest's sake, but strength that protects rather than destroys. The assembled beings knelt as always, all except one. Fletcher caught Vex's eye in the crowd. The counselor's amber eyes gleamed with something that might have been satisfaction. Change had come at last. Later, in the quiet after the proclamation, Fletcher stood on a balcony overlooking the Capitol. The Queen joined him. "Do you think your people will accept this?" she asked. "Some will hate it. Some will call me a traitor, but most will understand. We survive. We endure. We get another chance." He glanced at her. "Besides, someone needs to teach you about humanity. Might as well start with lesson 1. "And what is lesson 1? Fletcher grinned. "We're stubborn, we're reckless, and we never know when to quit. You wanted to understand us? Buckle up. It's going to be one wild ride." The Queen laughed. The sound echoed across the city, across the empire, across the stars. For the first time in 3,000 years, it was genuine joy. And in the darkness between galaxies, humanity's future burned bright once more.